Welcome and good evening. We are going to have a very special edition of Strange New Pod tonight. I'm your captain and host, Girafe, and I am joined by the most precious and special bridge crew this side of the Alpha Quadrant tonight. Fleet Commander? Fleet Captain? You get a promotion tonight, Julian. What promotion do you want?
Well, I was already Fleet Captain because I gave myself a promotion after you did like the pirate radio. So, I mean, I will take Admiral tonight since I think David didn't want to be Admiral. So, I mean, I'll take it if you give it to me, but I'll be fine at Fleet Captain if I don't need to stay.
For being here tonight with me, you're promoted to Admiral. With
Admiral Cook.
Yes, with Admiral Julian, and no promotion for lower decker David, but he's coming to the bridge tonight. So David from the Prom Merchant will be with us tonight. Hello, David. How are you doing?
Hello, Girafe, Julian. Thank you so much for having me on. No promotion for me. I'm representing the lower deckers here tonight, but
lower decks.
But I'm happy to be welcomed aboard.
So it's going to be a very special episode tonight because we're all here together to remember Nichelle Nichols, who passed this last weekend. And it's been an overall very emotional week for all of us. I have to say that was for me a very sad day, but a very beautiful day too, if I may say. As all the Trek community just came together, I received so many private messages of people checking on me. It was absolutely incredible, which prompted our conversation, David, about doing something special tonight for all our friends and podcaster, a tribune, a podium where people could come and talk all together. So
a celebration. A celebration of life.
As it should be. As it should be.
Yes. So I'm already chalking up and it's like 5 minutes in. So I'm gonna give you the mic. David, you're gonna open this special night. This is up
thank
to you.
Thank you so much, Girafe. And thank you again, and Julian, for having me on. This is a special episode. This is a special night and a special moment for Star Trek fans. It's a special night for television fans. When we remember Nichelle Nichols, when I think of Nichelle Nichols personally, my first thought immediately goes to my mother. The original Star Trek series premiered in 1966. And my mom would have been 11 years old at the time the show premiered. And this was right when the civil rights movement was happening. The United States was undergoing a lot of changes, hard changes, but necessary changes. And I think about what would have been seen on television at the time. And I think of my mother being a young Black woman living in Detroit, of all places, getting a glimpse of what the future might be. A future that included her and people that looked like her. And she passed that on to my sister, and she passed that on to me. The idea that through strife and struggle and everything that people that have looked like me, looked like Girafe, and looked like others have been through, a much better future is possible, and we will be there. We will be included in that future. And it was great to think that that was being seen on television in the 1960s, because a lot of people didn't like the thought of that back then. And even now, some people still don't, but that's just too damn bad. I think that is important to keep in mind, that the future will include everybody. Gene Roddenberry, to his credit for all his flaws and imperfections, knew exactly what he was doing when he cast Nichelle Nichols in that role. He said as much when famously Nichelle Nichols wanted to resign from the show. He cast her with a purpose. She was there not just as an actor, but as a symbol. We always talk about how representation matters, and she representing people really mattered a lot. And that was representation decades before the idea of representing was a thing. I think Uhura and Nichelle Nichols have a legacy that is immeasurable. And I think that it still reverberates today. We can see it through television, through film, and how so much of what we see in the entertainment industry, and I think Celia Rose Gooding made a good point about this as well, how so much of what we see in the entertainment industry for Black women especially can all be traced back to Nichelle Nichols playing Lieutenant Uhura on Star Trek.
Absolutely.
And I think that it is rare to say that that is a legacy that will genuinely last forever.
Thank you. I see that we have already somebody in the waiting room, so we're gonna let our friend in.
I'm here.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
Heather Ray.
How are you?
Hello.
Everybody, please welcome Heather Barker from the Mission Log podcast.
Oh, you wonderful people. Oh, and everybody's going to STLV, right? All of us?
Yep.
Not me.
Yep.
Yes.
Yay.
Sad face.
Oh, Julian. Oh,
I
man.
spent all my money in San Diego. Sad.
All right.
Fair.
Well,
Next time.
that's understandable. Well, I send you hugs. I wish I could give you another hug in person. I'm always excited to see David in person soon, and Girafe, I can't wait to see you again and hopefully spend a little bit more time with you.
Absolutely.
Likewise.
Yeah. I'm like a Nichelle fangirl right now. I've got it all.
I love your shirt so much.
Yeah, your shirt is incredible.
And it's like a T Public or something. I need to figure out where I got it from. And then the necklace, I don't know how well you can see it.
Oh, I
but
see
this
that.
is
That's awesome.
Wow.
For anyone listening in audio, Heather has this fantastic red tinted shirt of Nichelle Nichols and is wearing a great necklace with Nichelle's photo on it as well.
It's really cool. It's really, really cool.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. David was just speaking about how much Nichelle Nichols was instrumental of putting Black women on TV. And I know that you are too a great fan, and you were very touched by the passing of Nichelle and losing her. And I was so glad that you accepted immediately to join us. So Heather, the mic is yours.
I will. So the first time I had seen Nichelle at STLV, I think at least I started going in 2009, 2010. And then 2011 is when I did the photo op. And this year was just not a fun year because I found out, well, my ex-husband asked to get a divorce like 2 weeks before the convention. And so it was like, do I go? Do I not go? And I made the most wonderful decision to go. All of my Star Trek role models have come to me later in life because I didn't really find Star Trek and fall in love with Star Trek until I became an adult. And outside of being an outstanding character for Star Trek, it means a lot to me when you get to meet your heroes, and your heroes turn out to be really beautiful, wonderful people. Hopefully I will not cry during this. And so that year, I just decided to spoil myself and meet a hero and went up. And it was just so touching to me that in these photo ops, and I think she did this with a lot of people, she took our hands and held our hands. And at that moment, like, you're there with this like giant of a human being, and she's the one that's making you feel special. she was just such a phenomenal person, and I treasure this photo so much because I got to spend that little bit of time with her during a time that was very hard for me. And then in 2016, which was what, the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, I'm a part of Cheerfleet. I don't do Cheerfleet very often anymore, but a Starfleet, Cheerfleet Academy. And so we're just all kinds of people who can get the uniform and join the group. And at conventions or cruises or whatnot, you can get together and celebrate. So we would get together in this group, and Nichelle was at her table in 2016. And so we did ask first if we could make her an honorary Cheerfleet member. And so we had some gold pom-poms for that year, like all the accents were gold because of the 50th. And we were approved to do that. So we walked in, and I wish I could remember the cheer that we did because it was very specific for her. And if I could find a video somewhere, I will send it to you. But there were probably 30, 40 of us. I posted a picture on Twitter that got to get together and present her with the honorary Cheerfleet pom-poms. And she just adored that so much. Again, she's just such a gracious and wonderful person. Every interaction that I've had with her, the last one that was, I think in 2019, where she was at her table, it was very quiet. And so I just walked up and I was just basically said, thank you for being you. And thank you for continuing to spend your time with us at these conventions for so long. And again, it's like when you communicated with her, it's just, she made you feel like you were the special person, a lot like Leonard Nimoy. And I think that we knew with her retirement from conventions and her struggle with dementia, like we knew that this was coming, but it just, when that day comes, you never expect it. But Girafe, something that you said that really resonated with me was how on that day, although we were all grieving so much, it really became such a celebration of her life. And really continuing through the week, like I'm still thinking about her every day, and just, I don't have words for the loss of Nichelle, especially at our convention scene, like getting to have met her. The times that I did, I feel very grateful and honored to have had those opportunities. And I'm just really, really going to miss her. And I'm really glad that I can still turn on the television and see her shine whenever I want to.
Thank you. One of your favorite Uhura moment in Star Trek?
The fair maiden neither.
Neither.
Yeah, that epic. But also in the animated series Lorelai, that episode, which for anyone that's never watched the animated
that's the one.
series,
That's mine.
Please
that's
go
mine.
watch it.
I'm
not
taking
even gonna
command
tell
of
you.
the Enterprise.
Yes, like just go and watch it. I love that episode so much, and I love that moment. And what a gift to have had her a part of Star Trek. I like to call her the Nightingale. And now she's gone, but she will forever be in our hearts. And again, I'm just really happy that, we have so many episodes that we can pick up, and so many memories, and so many like videos, and just still be with her in that way. And that way she lives on.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, Heather, I just want to say, one, I'm going to give you a big virtual hug right now from myself and people on our Twitch chat as well. But I just want to say I got water in my eyes right now because I never got to meet Nichelle at a con. It never happened, and a bit of a regret now. But hearing your experiences and hearing so many other people's experiences with Nichelle and just how sweet she was. And it wasn't just like an obligation for her, right? Like she always wanted to be there, and she always wanted to interact with the fans. She was such an important part of this community, and just yours is just another one of those beautiful stories coming out of these just wonderful convention experiences people had. And I'm so glad that you're here tonight and able to share with us. Like it really hit me. So thank you.
Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
no, thank you. And thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, and I hope this episode will be one more solace and one more moment for everybody to just hear more stories and more moments that we got to share all together thanks to Nichelle. Can you stay with us for 5 minutes more?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So we have a contribution from Heather, David's co-host, from the prom merchant, who can't be with us tonight, but we're gonna listen to Heather's contribution, and then we can continue chatting a little bit.
What's up, Strange New Pod? This is Heather, the other half of the Promenade Merchants podcast. I was incredibly honored when Girafe asked me if I wanted to include a message for this episode. I was very emotional when I heard about Nichelle's passing. Anyone who follows me online knows I recently lost a pet that meant a lot to me. And so grief does crazy things. Nichelle Nichols and the character she portrayed in Uhura meant so much to so many people. I know there are fans who would not be fans of Star Trek if not for her. And the story I can tell you and my connection to Uhura is not as personal as some of those people. But I know that the characters that I have connected with over the years, especially the other women characters in later series, would not be possible without the impact that Uhura made in Star Trek and the impact that Nichelle Nichols made. And I have the utmost respect and honor for her because of that. We're gonna miss you, Nichelle. The hole that you left in this fandom is felt by so many people. And I hope you're exploring the galaxy right now and you're having fun doing it. Thank you.
Yeah, Heather told me she had to record it 4 times until she was able to get one to the end. And yeah, it's gonna be
Thank you, Heather. That was awesome.
it's gonna be an episode. Yeah, thank you, Heather. I hope to meet you soon someday, so we can share some time together. And thank you for sending this contribution. I think Fatheree from Textrack is in the waiting room. Is he here?
Sure is. Let me grab him.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
So Heather is with us, David, Julian, and Fatheree from Textrack just joined us. We just listened to the contribution from Heather, David's co-host. And we were talking about our favorite moment in Trek, our favorite Uhura moment in Trek. Do you have one?
The big ones for me are, Star Trek 3, the you're going to get in the closet thing with Mr. Adventure, just the jam sessions with Spock when they're just hanging out in the rec room. Obviously taking command in the Lorelei signal, but I think the one thing that I haven't heard anyone else pointing out yet, just me being like the second biggest animated series fan in the world, because no one's going to top Aaron Harvey, but She did a lot of other voices on the animated series. Pretty much Majel
She
Barrett
did. Yeah.
did all the women except when she was actually having Rod Roddenberry when she was like off to go have her baby. Then they had Nichelle do the voice. So she voiced an Orion. She voiced a Klingon woman. She voiced Alice when they went back to the shore leave planet. So she's, if you look at that stuff, she's actually played like a bunch of characters. But she did the computer voice a few times. So I guess I'll say that like having her voice pop up as other characters is kind of a treat watching the animated series.
It's funny you said that because I never have watched animated series all the way through. I've seen Lorelai and a couple of other episodes, but the first time hearing that like threw me off. I'm like, is that Nichelle? And I don't know if we were texting in the Discord or not, but I think maybe Girafe or a couple other people like, yeah, that's Nichelle. Her and Majel did like most of the other voiceover work. That's so funny. I love that about her.
Yep.
And Emcee in the chat says that she was the voice
Yes.
of Robert April's wife.
She was.
I didn't
She
know
was,
that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sarah April. Okay.
Wow, you know her first name?
Yeah, Sarah. It's a simple name.
Should have had Fatheree on during our Strange New Worlds reviews.
I want to bring up one thing and leave you with it. No. I see so many references right now. We've been talking about the kiss, the Plato's stepchildren kiss, the first kiss, first interracial kiss on television that wasn't the first interracial kiss on television.
A very problematic kiss too, right?
Very problematic kiss too, because it's not, they're not consenting to that
Wasn't
kiss.
consensual.
I was reading something that was talking about when they were filming the kiss and how much Nichelle herself like enjoyed making it, like the fact that they were trying to get it in there to get it around the censors and everything, and that they were having fun with it. I took a step back for a moment to reflect on that and to remember that, okay, although we definitely look at this differently in these days, I think it's still important to go back and recognize like what Nichelle was really working for there, and that she was having fun with doing that work. And I think that whenever I go forward, like talking about it, I want to make sure that I point that out because she's not here to. And I feel like it's important to remember because I tend to, talk. I'm not a fan of the kiss. And so I don't talk very favorably about it, regardless of the representation that it presented at that time. But I think that she would still want us to remember that she had fun doing that. She did that for a reason. And so we've a myriad of perspectives. I don't want that perspective to leave us.
I do think that it is, Heather, one thing important to remember that she was on the show for a reason.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should ever forget that she was there for a reason and with a purpose.
Yeah.
And that
I think
that's
she
why
did a great job of fulfilling that purpose.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's why she was at the communication console just behind the captain, right? So they could not cut her out of the shot because time you see the cap, you see her, and there are such important moments in the show that these could not be edited. She couldn't be edited out. Thank you so much, Heather.
It's been a pleasure and an honor. Thank you both. I hope I get to come back sometime when we have something very fun to talk about. And I mean, I still consider these happy memories of Nichelle. So it's still a happy show in that way.
Let's put it out. Let's put it out here real quick. We'd love to have you on at some point in the next once Lower Deck started in the next 10 weeks, and we can laugh our asses off for an hour talking about that.
To do a Star Trek Las Vegas
to pirate radio
rundown.
Yeah, we'll do it. Totally. Well,
I might have to jump in on that one.
Yes,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
Fatheree too. You're gonna be in Las Vegas, right?
Yes, I'm gonna be there. So yeah, looking forward to
Yay!
seeing y'all there.
All right. Well, I look forward to seeing all of you. Thank you again.
Of course.
This woman, incredible, incredible. We're so lucky to have had her.
Two
in our
incredible
lives.
women in that photo. Two
Yep.
of them.
Yes.
But she's a force. Even after she's left us, she is still a force. Thank
Indeed.
you guys so much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
See you in Vegas, Heather.
Bye.
Bye.
Girafe, before we continue, do you mind if I read Galaxy Star's Twitch comment?
Go ahead.
Galaxy Star Queen 77 wrote, I love the moment in Troubles with Tribbles when she first goes up to Mud and asked what the Tribble was. I don't know, was it Mud or a different character? I don't know if it was Mud, but it doesn't matter. And started petting it. And
Oh, it's Cyrano.
Yes,
Cyrano Jones.
Cyrano Jones.
Cyrano Jones. Thank you.
What the Tribble was and started petting it. And the smile she had when holding it was my favorite part of the whole episode. I love everything she did for people of color to been seen and heard, and that there's a future for everyone. But it was definitely the smile and things she's done for everyone.
And that's the pose that I chose to have tattooed with the Tribble.
It's so cute.
I love that the end of that comment is that what she did for everyone, because I remember when the news broke, it reverberated so far, and I saw people from all walks of life celebrating and remembering Nichelle Nichols. It was more than just the Trek community. It was more than just Twitter. It was everywhere. It got reported on CNN. It got reported on major news outlets. And it's just a continued testament to just how massive of a role she played in the franchise and in television, and just how much of a mountain of a person she was, that it reverberated everywhere. And she really did bring something that everyone could appreciate.
Absolutely. Yeah, we even have a contribution from our friends from Le Quadrant Pop in France. They sent a contribution like putting their English-speaking host. So yeah, I really wanted them to do something, because I know I'm French, but I live here, right? So I'm not really, I'm in the soup. But I wanted them to send something.
You're the diplomatic envoy.
Yes.
Exactly.
The
the diplomatic corps, right? But I really wanted them to send something, because I wanted people to hear from a French person who lives in France, who's been a Trekkie in France, and we're doing one of the rare Star Trek podcasts in France, like say how much they were impacted too by the news and what it meant to them, and how she impacted their life too. So yeah, we'll listen to their contribution a bit later. Right now, the mic is gonna go all the way to Texas. How are you doing? The podium is yours.
Oh, well, thank you so much for inviting me onto the show. I am honored to be among such fine people.
It's good to have you here, man.
Thank
Finally.
you.
Yeah. And happy 200 now that you're on our show. Happy 200th from
Yeah,
from all of
right.
us.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Congrats.
It was a long road.
Getting from there to here.
Yeah, I actually hate that song. So it's kind of inside joke. But I never got. I'm one of those fans who's been mad about it for 21 years. But
You're very lucky Eric is not here, because
I almost hit the crickets button because the next line didn't get said, and it was just a little bit of that.
I've always said that the song grows on you like a fungus. It grows on you.
I like that we managed to speak about Faith of the Heart in every single episode. Whatever we talk about, it comes into the conversation. So you have to give that to Enterprise at least.
It's got something going for it.
You'll never forget it.
Exactly. So tell us, how did Nichelle impacted your life? Did you meet her? Have you had the chance?
I did meet her one time. The funny story with that is she was one of the surviving original series people that I hadn't met for a long time. And for whatever reason, I was never able to get to a convention where she was. And she was finally coming to a con here in Austin, happened to be on the day that my sister was getting married. So I was kind of like worried, like, am I ever going to get to meet this woman? And then the last time she was at Vegas, 2019, I believe, I was able to go there, and I typically don't do photo ops. I'd rather, hang out with friends than, wait in line to take a picture with Brent Spiner or whatever. But, I was like, no, I'm getting this photo op. So, and a lot of what Heather was just saying about meeting her in Vegas, when she got her picture with her, it was just, she is just so kind and just and is just makes you feel so appreciated, like you're the one that there's something special. I mean, I was trying not to cry when she was talking about that, because I was having memories of, I go to take this picture with her and I'm wearing like this generic t-shirt that's like the Enterprise and says Star Trek on it or something, and she's like, oh, I love your Star Trek t-shirt, that's so cool. And oh, I love like your little pet Tribble that I mean, this woman's seen like a million Tribbles at this point, but yeah, she made people feel so welcomed around her, and that was really special. And I don't really know what there is to say, because I feel like we're lucky in a way. It's very fortunate that she has been so beloved over the decades, that I feel like so many of her stories are told and people are so aware of the famous MLK story when he asked her not to quit the show, to stay on the show. The work that she did with NASA and recruiting the diverse astronauts, and the fact that there's an entire documentary about that just got like a big promotional push on a streaming service a year ago. So it's really a kind of a lovely thing that all of these things have not been forgotten, that she's stayed in our minds and consciousness for so long. And I just think now we have a great opportunity to continue to remember her and pass the stuff on, so that in another 30, 40, 50 years, when people are still watching Star Trek, they still remember how cool, oh yeah, that first actress to play Uhura, yeah, man, she was really something else. I heard all this cool stuff about her. So I think that's really special.
I have to say that we have a contribution from Emcee Frodis, who's a Star Trek YouTuber and a friend. And we met thanks to Uhura. First of all, we're both like great fans, right? And that's how we bonded, first of all. And the first time we met in Chicago face to face for the first time, we ended up being in line to meet Celia Rose Gooding. And it's kind of that's what I was trying to put into words. It's how many bonds and friendship and relationship exist into my life just because Nichelle Nichols was on Star Trek. This is the only reason that I have this group of amazing friends that are closer to me than my own family right now. And I look forward to meet you guys in Vegas. I'm going to drive there. And like every time I go to anything Star Trek, I'm like, I can go by myself because I know I'm going to have so many friends over there. And you can truly see, but I'm wearing the green earrings. Julian is not happy because I'm doing this with my microphone.
I know. I'm actually, I was trying really hard to see that. I can't see
yeah.
them.
And it's funny because every time I wear this outfit with these earrings, people will stop me at convention to get a picture. And I would end up talking with more people and exchanging emails and growing this family around me. So I think it's a real testimony to the impact she has created on all of it. She made me a linguist, but she brought me to all these people into my life that are, I hope, gonna stay. But yeah,
you're all right.
wait
Wow.
until Vegas. Well, until Vegas. Can we put on Emcee's video?
Yes.
Uhura is my favorite character in Star Trek, and that would not be the case were it not for Nichelle Nichols. I think out of any character in Star Trek, the character would not exist without her. And that's not to put down any of the other actors, but for the most part, Star Trek characters get written on the page. Uhura didn't. When she showed up for her audition, she had to read the Spock lines, mostly to find out if she could do the technobabble. And so she and Jean sat down and came up with this character. They came up with her name. They came out with what Uhura would do on the show. And I think so much of the character was pared down from things that she could have done in the writing, that the things that stayed were mostly there because of just Nichelle's presence. She just had this great presence that you had to put in at times. You having her sing on the show, that was 100% Nichelle. It was something that she gave to Uhura because she loved to do it. And I think the thing that most of all tells me everything I need to know about both Uhura and Nichelle Nichols, I can define in 2 words, and that's sorry, neither. Just to clarify for the people who don't watch the original series, because I know some people haven't. In The Naked Time, when Sulu is doing the whole shirtless fencing thing, he grabs Uhura and says, "I'll protect you, fair maiden." And Uhura says, "Sorry, neither." And this line was not in the script. Nichelle ad-libbed it. And that's probably the only reason why it didn't end up getting cut, being caught by standards and practices, because that is about the most subversive joke that they had in the original series. And Nichelle came up with it because she did not want to be called a fair maiden. And it's probably my favorite line in all of Star Trek. And it was because of Nichelle. And so much of the stuff that I've kind of side-eyed about Uhura in any of the shows, I know that Nichelle also side-eyed. Like the scene in the otherwise flawless Star Trek VI, when Uhura is reading from dictionaries to learn the Klingon language. Nichelle had fights with Nicholas Myers where it's like, no, Uhura's a linguist. Like, she should not have to read Klingon from a dictionary. But they liked the scenes, so they made her film it. But she knew the character so well because she was the character. She had birthed her in a way that I don't think is really appreciated. And that's why I think that this is so hard. Because it's not just Nichelle that we've lost. It is just kind of that heart of Uhura. And as much as I love Celia and Zoe, I know that they always looked to Nichelle. And Nichelle, Uhura was always her. And I think she carried, not only did Nichelle bring Uhura, not only did Nichelle bring herself to Uhura, but she brought Uhura out into the real world. In a way that, again, not a lot of Star Trek folks have done, but her work with the space program, Nichelle knew just how important it was, what she was doing, how groundbreaking it was. And she wasn't content to just be the black lady who wasn't a maid on TV. She wanted to have real people, real black people, be astronauts. So she spent so much of her time dedicated to trying to make that happen, and she saw it happen. She saw it happen many times over. And that's just an impact that just astounds me. I can't imagine doing anything like that. I'm afraid I don't have a personal recollection with Nichelle. I had the chance to meet her at a convention, but my anxiety flared up and I didn't do it. And along with Carrie Fisher and Leonard Nimoy, she's going up on the list of ones that I will always regret not doing. And it's one of the reasons why whenever I have the chance now, I get the meeting with people, because I'm never going to get that chance again. I did get to see her kind of from afar, just kind of hanging out in the dealer's room where she was, and seeing her interact with people. And she was just so nice to all of her fans, just so sweet, and just had a charisma about her that, like I said, she's Uhura. Like, everything that we saw on that show came from her. And I don't think we'll ever see anyone like her again. There was just such a light about her. And I'm going to start tearing up. And probably future me, who is in the Twitch chat, is probably going to be crying through this entire recording, which is one of the reasons why I decided to film this in advance. So just to Nichelle, we love you, and we're so glad that we had you for as long as we did.
There was something there that I found really, really inspiring. It's when Emcee talked about what Miss Nichols did with NASA. And that goes back to the word that I keep going back to, legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And Nichelle Nichols had a platform as an actress and as a performer. And you always ask yourself that question: what are you going to do with the platform you have? And she went out of her way to make the world better. It was more than just about acting and performing for her. It was about making the world a better place. And that is something that means so much to so many people.
Yeah, and I think a Klingon ship just arrived and he's waiting in the waiting room. Let me
Certainly
see.
is. I think there's
Yeah.
a bird of prey around somewhere.
the Duras sister just dropped out of warp, right?
One or both.
And they're not giving up their
Both
weapons.
of
They're not giving
them.
up their weapons.
In the words of Will Riker.
Look at this. Both of them are here. Ah!
Oh, you guys match. I love it.
Yes. Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
We were just talking about Nichelle's work in NASA. Have you all watched Women in Motion, the documentary?
I haven't seen it yet.
I watched it once.
It's very,
Once?
very, very good.
That's amazing. Oh my
There's
gosh.
never been a better time to watch it than right now.
Yeah, truly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Please watch it. It's so incredible. And I think it's the only documentary that actually documents all her work, like all the process, her meeting the scientists, her getting accepted in NASA, her like going from clubs to each university and sororities, and trying to find people and inspire and telling them you can become an astronaut. It's absolutely incredible, and we've done a special podcast too on it. So if you want to give
Incredible.
it a listen after,
Yes.
yeah. So thank you so much for being here. I know it's late. I've done some special work with Ashley, and I don't know if she wants to speak about it tonight. So the Duras sisters, please, the mic is yours. You have the podium. Tell us about your relationship with Nichelle Nichols and Uhura, and what she meant to you.
Ashlyn, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I'll start. So we talk about so much, just like how we got into Star Trek, which was around middle school age. Rhianna and I both decided to watch all of the original series after seeing Star Trek 2009. And I just like went 100% full into it. And so I think it was around 8th grade, I got really into reading all the autobiographies or biographies of all of the cast. And DeForest Kelly, I was like so obsessed with. I read his, but my favorite one is Beyond Uhura, which I read in 8th grade. And I actually did a report on the book. We had to make like a art project with it. And I made like an Enterprise out of foam. I wish I had it. Like this would be the perfect time.
I want to see how many days did that foam Enterprise take?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it took a while. It hung in my room for all the way until I went to college. I don't even know where it is, but I think like reading this book really, really impacted me because I was at an arts middle school and high school, and so much of her life was about trying to break into that scene when she was younger. I mean, she like is a triple threat. She can sing, she can dance, she can act. One story that always stuck with me is she got into a professional ballet company when she was only 14, and she had to lie about her age in order to be accepted. But she was like, yeah, I'm 18. Sure. So just the way that she always pushed boundaries. It's already been said on the show tonight, but she always wanted Uhura to have more lines and always wanted her to be in more scenes because she knew how important her role was. And so it was just heartbreaking to see you get a new script and she has less lines. And then you get another script, being updated every day, and she has like 2 lines in the whole show. And this is, of course, why she was so fed up at the end of season 2, didn't want to return. But she persevered, she was like, okay, I know like this is really important to be here. And so for me, just as an artist and as a young person growing up, it was really inspiring to read about her and just think like, wow, this woman can really do anything, and just incredibly inspiring for me. I actually did get a chance to meet her in 2014. There's a tiny little convention in Colorado called Starfest, and they get big names. And I got to meet Nichelle Nichols. We had a photo op, and I was in my full Trill uniform. So I've
seen that picture.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, yeah. And she we took the picture, and she looked at me and she said, "Honey, you are beautiful." And I just about died. I was like, wow, my life is made forever. That's like my big bragging moment. I would always say to people, it's like, well, Nichelle Nichols likes me. So
what else do you need?
Yeah.
Literally all you need.
Exactly. So for me, that's just wonderful memory of her. Always been an inspiration. I love her, and I'm just so gutted to see that she's gone, but it's also been really heartwarming to see the reactions and posts from different people, just like huge variety. Like it's not just Star Trek people who she affected. It's everybody.
Yeah. Wow. Ashlyn beautifully said. I love the fact that we have kind of grown up with Nichelle as well. That's TOS is really close to my heart because it was our first like Star Trek series, and what got me into Star Trek. I would wear like the little uniform t-shirt to school all the time in middle
Like,
school.
I
and
think
just be
this
like,
one
I'm a
was
super
so-
nerd.
yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I had a gold one, so I was like, okay. But yeah, so Uhura is a big part of that, and I actually have my little action figure here.
Nice!
I love in her like amazing outfit. Like,
Is
so
that
good.
the is that
motion-
T-
the
is that
motion
T-
picture?
motion picture? Yeah. I
Yeah.
Wow.
love it. That is
Okay,
That's
I have to
awesome.
say,
hold that
that-
tight.
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah, you know, I
seriously.
have a whole of like figurines and stuff, but I do
Yes.
not have this one.
Oh my gosh. That's insane. Yeah. I think we must have got it at Starfest as
I
well.
think it was
Um,
Starfest. Yeah.
Because there just used to be like bins of action figures. But yeah, so I think on that note too, like I remember looking for her action figures all the time and not finding any because like women action figures are just not as much like produced, the female characters. And so it was amazing to find this. And also when we got to meet her in 2014, sorry, my cat has the zoomies, so if you hear that in the background, she's going crazy. But yeah, so in 2014 when we met her, it was just incredible because I think she just radiates warmth and kindness, and watching her interact with everybody in line, like we are waiting in line for quite a while, but I didn't care. Like I remember every step we took closer, I got more excited. You know, I was just like, oh my God, this is the moment, you know, and it's just amazing that one single person can have that impact on you, especially because I was like middle school, I was going into high school, you know, and this is just really special to me because I have so many incredible women in my life. And so being able to see also incredibly inspiring women on my favorite shows is just like an extra bonus. And she brought so much to all of us. And yeah, I was able to watch her speak at the panel there at Starfest, and she told her story about, of course, Martin Luther King Jr. and also just like her various interactions with her fans was just so loving. And I just love seeing that because, you know, you go to a panel and then you see William Shatner doing something weird and frustrating, and you're like, okay, like I need
Literally
to go back
look
to this
no
wholesome
further than the
panel.
bullshit at Comic-Con. Like, come on,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
that was a trip. Yeah.
so it was always like amazing to have Nichelle at a panel because then you're just like, oh, I get cleansed from all of that sort of like BS. And yeah, just incredible. And I was actually really glad because Ashlyn and I were on the phone together when we found out that she passed. And so like it helped a lot, you know, that I was with my other Duras sister, and that the Star Trek community is always here and always, you know, we grieve together and we love together. And I just want to thank you guys at Strange New Pod, all of you here today, because like this has been an incredible show and I've been like crying through it. So it's just really beautiful to see all the love.
I have to say that I think you were amongst the first person who sent me a message right away. I received a message from the Duras sister like at noon 25, like, hi, checking in. Are you okay? And I was like, oh my God. I was like sobbing on my couch, and it made me cry even more, like, of joy, right? That you thought of me. But yeah.
That was my second thought. I was like, oh
yeah,
my gosh,
we were
I'm so
literally
sad. Giraffe.
we were on the phone and I was like, wait till a big media like it's like NPR or something reports it, because sometimes, you know, there's like fake announcements.
Yeah.
And as soon as it was happening and her son had posted, Rhianna was like crying and she's like, giraffe. I was like, yep. Yeah.
And the second person who sent me a message were the good folk at Where's Beverly. I think you know them too,
Yes,
right?
love them.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna they sent me, Adrienne sent me a text to read. So, dear Nichelle, thank you so much for showing me when I was 6 years old that women belonged, that we didn't just belong as a complement to a man or as his partner, but in our own right, that we had a place at the table, not in spite of being women, but because we are. Thank you for showing me I didn't have to choose between being strong and being a woman. I could be a leader and rock a miniskirt. I could provide invaluable service and skill to those around me and love a good cat eye. I grew up surrounded by lots of ideas about what women could and should do and how we should present femininity or not ever-present femininity. But seeing you on the bridge of the Enterprise lit a spark in me that only grew with time, fanned by other brave women like you who did hard things in spite of fear and pushback and misogyny and racism and classism. You went first and have meant so much to so many, and I hope you know that. There will be no Troy or Crusher, Janeway or Seven, Hoshi, Kira or Burnham without you. The waves you set in motion are as immeasurable as the stars in the sky. Thank you.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Beautiful text. Yeah, they couldn't be with us. I tried. I was like, I'm bribed. But that's a beautiful text. And I always say, you know, I cosplay as the Romulan commander very often, and people always ask me why that character. And it's like, because I love Star Trek, because there are such badass women that are absolutely gorgeous. Like, I mean, rocking a miniskirt and a good cat eye and being an incredible leader, yes, you can. And I mean, I love Janeway too, when she's like with the phaser, you know, in the white shirt and like crawling through Jeffrey's tube. I mean,
yes,
you all know Cara Zandara from Twitter. She's an amazing TOS fan. She's very instrumental in the TOS
Saturday night. That's
exactly.
Right.
So she sent us a contribution.
Uhura will always be the character who showed me it's okay to be soft and strong, kind but take no shit, and smart beyond her years, yet still won over by the simple purr of a fuzzy tribble. When Cyrano Jones called her a lovely little lady, he was right in the fact that she is a beloved character and will stay beloved, because Nichelle Nichols brought her own talented self so fully to the screen. Thank you for shining your light so brightly that it bounced off so many people and will continue to illuminate people who find power in your works for generations to come.
Thank you, Cara. Thank you so much. Can we talk about what we did the other day, Ashlyn, or is it still a secret?
Yeah, no, let's do it.
Are you okay, Ashlyn?
Yeah, that's fine. I like messed up a little, but everyone will forgive me. So
you may know that I like to gather fanzines from the 70s. And one of the fanzine I really like are from Probe. They were published in the 70s, late 70s, by a man named Hollett, I think it's pronounced, Winston Hollett, who is, I think he's still alive, a Black man, a feminist, and very instrumental in cosplaying Star Trek, writing fan fiction, and he created this edition called Mpingo. And he produced these fanzines that are absolutely incredible. And it's called the Swahili series. And I'm missing only one. So if you have it, I will buy it out for you. And the first one is this one. And it's called Goddess Uhura. And there is like so much art in it, poems, amazing drawings. And it's all about Uhura, and I never read it before the other day, and I was like, you know, it's the only one I have not read, so I started reading it, and lo and behold, at the end there's a music sheet, and it's a song, a lullaby, we can say, I suppose. Yeah, called Quietly Now, that is supposed to be sung by Uhura in the story. And I cannot really read music. I mean, I can, but like I can like really like imagine what it sounds like. And I was like,
and 1, 2, 3, 4.
Exactly. So who can sing this? And I was like, oh, Ashlyn can sing this. So I sent it to you, some picture of the fans, and I was like, do you know what it is? Like, can you like tell me a little bit more about it? And then you just send me the recording, like basically 10 minutes later. And it's incredible because it's not been published. It's fanzine, so they've been published maybe at 50 issues, like very few. And it was like what, 40 45 years ago. There's not a lot left, I know of one other in the library and mine, and I've never seen another one. And the fact that we had this, like, we can listen to that song right now. I'd really like to know if Winston Hollett is still alive, because I'd really like to send it to him. But so if you know, listeners, please send me a message. And I think too, it's a beautiful contribution to the second one. Is called Captain Uhura. Because that's the thing that since the 70s, people wanted to see. They wanted to know more about her. And these fanzines are so incredible because you see how much she meant at that time for people who watched, like, we can binge watch and like rewatch the episode like 1,500 times. What's not something you could do in the 60s, right? Or in the 70s. But people writing everything she would say, giving her backstory, writing, there are like, these things are 200 pages of stories, art, everything, and passing them from fans to fans, collecting the stories. And it's such a powerful thing to hold, because I feel like now we all go on archive of our own, we just read pages and pages of fan fictions. But to keep these things, and I hope that I will manage to maybe make it available to public, but to see just this one, like Captain Uhura, is so poignant to me. And you can see that people would just draw her over and over again, old, with children, captain, battling with a sword.
That's awesome.
Everything. The Return of the Defiant, and so listening to that song was absolutely beautiful and emotional. Julian.
Is everybody ready? We're good?
Yes.
All right, so this is
Not even
Ashlyn
close.
singing this absolutely beautiful song. Let's listen to it.
Night seems to fall with a tumbling sound. Dark thunder rolls from the sky to the ground, but the ebony prince hears none of these sounds, sleeps quietly, quietly now. He dreams of a bird with silvery wings, a fairy tale castle, a magical ring, and the ebony prince where all is the king, sleeps quietly, quietly now. Oh, sleep until the morrow is due. All the world's splendor will shine just for you. Dawn bathes the world in a honey sea. Dewdrops aglow on each petal and tree. So the ebony prince will have much to see. Sleeps quietly, quietly now.
Bravo.
Wow. Like,
That was incredible.
So thank you so much for doing this. And we're looking for a pianist who can play.
Yeah, honestly,
yeah.
it's not that hard. I wanted to play it myself, but I didn't have time to like work it out in a day. But yeah, it's not that difficult of accompaniment. So
yeah, if somebody's interested, like send me a message, and like I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just giving the material.
I literally last night like showed it to my husband and I was like, you could probably play this, right? And he was like, yeah, just give me a day.
Classic
So we might have that. Yeah.
Ashlyn, your voice, like I'm a little speechless right now. Like
thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
For doing this on the fly in like literally 10 minutes too. Because you send that right away to me. And yeah, it's again, I find it absolutely incredible that somebody just wrote a song and put it in this fanzine. And that's, well, I hope we get to at the piano, and then maybe we can ask Nami to make a full song out of it.
Yes, perfect.
Yes. I have a strong feeling she'd be down.
Right?
Yeah.
We have more contributions. I don't want to keep you if you have anywhere to go. So please let me know if you need to go towards new adventures.
I do have to get going, unfortunately.
Giraffe,
yes.
Yeah, I have to beam out as well.
I do have duty at 0800 tomorrow, but I did want to leave you with one thing. We were talking about Star Trek Las Vegas earlier, the 56-year mission. And I CC'd you on this, and I got word back from a rep at Creation Entertainment that there will be a tribute for Nichelle Nichols in mind in Las Vegas. There will be something in Las Vegas. And the exact words from the rep were, of course we have something planned. How could we not? So yes, there will be something in Las Vegas for Miss Nichols.
So cool.
Great to know. Yes. And that's great that a lot of us are going to be there. So Duras sister, you won't be in Las Vegas, no?
Sad. No.
We can ride the sad bird of prey together, not going.
So please let me know if you need to warp out of our special episode.
We do have to beam out.
You do need to boogie.
And I believe David said he had to boogie too.
I do have duty first thing in the morning, so
but
we'll hold the fort.
Yes.
We will hold the
Girafe. You have put something amazing together.
Yes.
And
yes.
That is
Thank
awesome.
you.
Have a good night,
so
everybody.
much.
Thank you.
Long and prosper.
Love you all.
Good
Hey, you
night.
guys.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
And then there were three.
Three. Fatheree, you've been with us for an hour. Are you still good
Fatheree's
to go?
the marathon man.
Yeah, I guess I'll stick around.
He's gonna stick around. He's gonna do it. I like it.
Julian, would you like to read Myrriah's contribution from Discovery Pod?
I would love to.
Yes.
I was hoping that you'd have me read Myrriah's because she's obviously a great friend of the pod, and she's just awesome. We love our friends at Star Trek Discovery Pod. Myrriah wrote, "It's hard to sum up feelings for both a person and a character that not only meant something to me personally, but was larger than life for so many. Nichelle Nichols was the epitome of grace. Her power and her poise was so beautiful to watch on screen as Lieutenant Uhura. I always loved how she balanced humor, wit, charm, and intelligence within her portrayal of Lieutenant Uhura. She created and lived with history as she paved the way for so many, and yet we still have so much work to do. I hope her memory can live on as a blessing and a reminder to shoot for the stars. As the incredible Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you said, people forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And Nichelle Nichols' performance as Lieutenant Uhura always made me feel like anything was possible."
Preach.
Nice.
That is so true. I have to say that I was terrified of leaving my country and going abroad and speaking a foreign language, even English. I remember the first time I had to speak in English in an airplane. because somebody was asking me something, and I understood what he was saying, but I was petrified. And I remember that I could do it because she could do it. It's like, welcome to the mind of Girafe.
Yeah.
But my logic was always that Uhura is like my great granddaughter or something like this. This much, right? And if she is able to be on the bridge of a starship, and she's able to be a linguist and to be a communication officer and to be a lieutenant, it's because I today started walking towards this. So I always saw it, sure, as an inspiration to me, so because I wanted to be like her, but too as a promise to be the best ancestor possible and to never step back. Because if the women before me didn't take all these steps for me, I would not be doing all this, right? I would not have a degree. I would not be able to vote. I don't know. So I had to keep it up so she could be.
Yeah.
And that cured me for a lot of my anxiety and stress and fears, because I had to do it for her, and I had to do it for everybody after me. So this glimpse into the future, I think, has inspired so many people to be better, but to be better for the ones after us. And that's actually an interaction I had with Celia was getting on Twitter. It's like we need to keep building. We need to keep putting out these characters that inspire more people to be the best ancestors possible. I don't remember why I was saying that. I'm very scatterbrained.
I think you have every reason and right to be scatterbrained, and even if you don't know where you're going with it, it was still beautiful.
And we have a contribution actually from somebody Fatheree knows very well. We have a contribution from Starfleet Boy, right?
Oh dear, yeah. He's my BFF. He's my number one collab partner.
Yeah, right. You're not officially co-host, right? You're like
we both have our own shows, but we coexist in each other's spaces a lot. We co-captain each other's ships.
I like that.
That's a nice way to put it.
You do though.
Right.
You do. It's always fun to watch you guys. You guys have great chemistry. It's so much fun.
And Girafe, but before you get started on that, just let me say it is now officially my headcanon that Uhura is your descendant. That, like,
I'm there. I'm there.
Star Trek universe, you existed in the 21st century as an ancestor of Uhura.
You. Well, I'm East African too, so why not?
Right. Yeah, it works.
I'm here for it.
Works.
I'm 1,000% here for it. All right. Well, should I hit it? Should I say the thing?
Hit it. Go.
Hit it.
Yeah, say the
All
thing.
Right, here we go.
Hello, my friends at the Strange New Pod. Sorry I couldn't be on live with you guys, but I'm on a road trip going up north. I should say going to the Delta Quadrant or someplace like that. But anyways, I just wanted to say that I wish I could join all of you to both mourn and grieve at the loss of Nichelle Nichols, but also to celebrate her life. For me in particular, she's been kind of like a friend, not really a friend. Like, I didn't know her in real life. I did meet her once, but I just feel like the original cast and the characters that they played are just such a big part of who I am. Their example is what I use to shape the person that I am, and I really like myself. So I hope I'm honoring Nichelle Nichols and Lieutenant Uhura, and it's nice to see that the legacy of Uhura will continue with two really amazing performers who have taken up the mantle of that role. But I I guess now's not the time to talk about them too much, but yeah, Celia R. Gooding and Zoe Saldana are just awesome, and so I look forward to seeing what they bring to the character in the future. But going back to Nichelle Nichols, in this last week, I feel like I've really learned so much more about her. This is a lady who has so many facets to her, and has, didn't just stop at being a symbol of people of color, Black people in particular, being in the future, as Whoopi Goldberg said so eloquently about how she was, inspired by that, but also in her endeavors in life outside of performance. She shaped a whole generation of astronauts and scientists who are part of the space program. So, gosh, it's just like everything I love was touched by Nichelle Nichols in some way. So I thank her very much. I hope she's up there in the cosmos with the great performers of Star Trek who went before her, and that I'm not sure I believe in an afterlife, but I'd like to believe in one, just to imagine that Nichelle Nichols, Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelley, and James Doohan all somehow are reunited, maybe energetically or something like that. Who knows? But thank you so much for giving me a little space on your program, and live long and prosper, and we will see you next time.
Thank you so much. I know you're driving, and we tried to work out like hours. It's like, maybe if I come late. I was like, we're actually super late. I don't know where he is, but he should be like super exhausted. But thank you so much, and I look forward to meet again, because we've met already once in Mission Chicago, right? Yeah, I it's interesting how everybody has this image of Leonard Nimoy, Jimmy Doohan, Nichelle Nichols, Majel Barrett in this Trek Afterlife, and I found it so beautiful. I hope that we can actually summon it, if we think all together. May actually happen, and we'll join too someday.
That would be heaven for me, is that you just like beam into the Star Trek universe.
I know we're running out of time, but we have one last contribution, right?
We do.
And it's special contribution because it comes all the way from France, and it's special to me because being a Trekkie in France is such a hard job. We speak often about how it's hard to watch Star Trek in other countries, and how it's complicated to have access, how even like ordering things from the Star Trek shop is such a hustle if you're not in the US. And I have to say that Star Trek is not very big in France. It's starting to be big now, but I know there are Trekkies all over the world. And we often, because we're English speakers and we're a podcast in the US, right? We often talk mostly with Canadians and Americans. But I would love to hear from Trekkies from other countries and other local podcasts. If you have a podcast in South America, in Africa, in Asia about Star Trek, please let us know. We'd love to get in contact. But Le Quadrant Pop has been incredible. They've been good friends. We've met in San Diego Comic-Con with Romain.
Drank with them at 10 Forward.
Drank with him at 10 Forward.
That was fun.
And yeah, I've been a guest on their podcast, and I asked them, I know you don't all speak English, but is there somebody that can send me something to just show that Nichelle was somebody that had an impact on people even in other countries? And Marina from Le Quadrant Pop, who works a lot into translating comic books from English to French, by the way.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. Send us a video, a transmission So let's hear it.
Yes, let's do it.
Nichelle Nichols passed away, and I've been very saddened by the news because she was my childhood hero and the first and only one. I was 6 years old. I was watching TV and on a Sunday afternoons, and suddenly I saw this TV show called Star Trek. And there she was sitting on the bridge wearing that red uniform and being just amazing at the comms, being the first person that the aliens were contacting. And she was very cool, very professional, and every bit just amazing. I just love the backstory that she gave to the character with the help of Jean Roddenberry when she suggested this the Swahili name and the background and all the backstory and the interactions she had with the crew during the first few episodes. Watch them again. You will be surprised by how much screen time she had at that moment. And every week, I was desperately waiting to see if she was on the episode, going on away missions. And I just loved her in Mirror, Mirror. She was every bit fantastic in that iconic episode. Of course, I just loved the episode where she locked lips with Kirk. And I was a little bit in love with Kirk. And so when they kissed, it was a little bit as if I had kissed Kirk and Kirk had kissed me. Hot stuff, of course. So later, I was impressed that she was doing recruitment videos for the NASA to recruit astronauts, and the way that so many great astronauts ended up on the space program. And she was such an inspiration for so many people. And it was so great. It's great thinking from the NASA to have thought about her. And she didn't succeed with me because I'm not an astronaut right now, and I deeply regret it, but I didn't have the capacity. But guess where I'm working now? I'm working in comms. So there must have been something in the water. And she working in comms, me too. So thank you for the inspiration. Thank you so much, Nicole, for having been such an amazing inspiration for everybody. And have a fantastic trip to the star. And you have been an amazing inspiration. Thank you so much. I love you.
Yes, thank you so much, Marina. You couldn't see me, but I was smiling all the way because Star Trek on the Sunday afternoon.
I I gotta say I laughed my ass off when she said well, she failed a little bit because I'm not an astronaut, and that's something I was gonna say in a little bit. I'm like, she did so much, and like I wanted to be an astronaut as a little boy, and like I wanted to put on the fucking spacesuit, and I wanted to go, and then I realized just how scary space was, and I'm like, I'm just gonna leave that to the professionals. But
yeah, and I have to say too that in France, only 13 episodes of TOS were shown.
Oh wow!
Like there were so many episodes I didn't even know existed until like I was an adult. Yeah. I think 13. It's like the number that came like out of my mind, so that must be it. And it was very very complicated to watch. And the fun thing is that I remember watching. I think it's Voyager or maybe TNG. I don't remember which one. And I was watching it with the Canadian subs because there was no translation in French from France. So very often for American show, we get the French Canadian translation, which are different than the French I speak. I mean, I can understand it, but it's kind of like complicated sometimes. And you know you're watching something very obscure when you have to watch it in French Canadian in Europe. But it's true that the waiting to see if she was on this episode,
yeah,
that's a real feeling I can remember too. Yeah. Julian, last but not least, I don't feel like I'm gonna take the mic because I've been speaking literally all during 2 hours.
I mean, I've gotten your and this is a compliment in the finest way. I've gotten your life story about just like how much Nichelle means to you, and it's beautiful and it's amazing. And I mean, I knew, but this episode that we're doing tonight, I mean, listen, I'm just happy to be a passenger and be along for the ride, because everything that you said tonight, like, I'm crying just saying it. Like, it's just, I know how special she was to you. I know how special she was to so many of the people that we've had on tonight, Fatheree included, who's still here with us. Nichelle, I never got to meet Nichelle. I really wanted to. The time just never came up. But this has been said on this pod a ton before. It'll definitely be said again. Undiscovered Countries, like my real, like, when I was a kid, that was when I kind of like proclaimed myself as a Trekkie. It's like the first movie of Star Trek I ever watched, and it's my first like coherent Trek memory. And everybody talks about the Klingon book scene, which is such a slap in the face, which I don't like. But there's a moment in that movie that I constantly think about before she passed, after she's passed. I've been thinking about it all week. There's no dialogue, but it's when Valeris warns Kirk about not using impulse in space dock, and Nichelle just goes, she puts her head down and looks, and I'm just like, this woman has had to put up with Kirk's bullshit for so many years. And one, it's like, how many other officers have she seen come on board the Enterprise and do that to Kirk and get the, like, no, we'll keep it at impulse. But just like I love that moment so much. It's a nothing moment for some, but it's like, I always think about that scene. I love it so much. And then I forget who mentioned at the top of the show, we've had so many great submissions and people talking about Uhura tonight, but it's the reason we named this episode All My Hopes, when she's on transporter duty and the dude's like, what are you doing here? You're a celebrity. You could have like any command you want. And she's just like, I like boring. It's good. It's like, something about fantasy. And I'm like, well, this is reality. And she points the phaser at him. He's like, get in the closet. And I just love it. And Kirk's like, you sure you can handle Mr. Boy Scout? He's like, I can handle him. He's fine. Just two of my absolutely favorite moments of hers. I think who mentioned Mirror Mirror? I think Marina mentioned Mirror Mirror. Nichelle is amazing. And the last thing I'll say, which is very important to me, again, I'm also a failed, never was ever going to become an astronaut.
We're all failed astronauts. Except like Fatheree, you have something to tell us?
Yeah, Fatheree, have you been to space?
I've not been to space. I've been to the NASA Space Center in Houston as like a tourist passing through. That's the closest I ever got.
It's better than me already.
Yeah. I was ready to go to space camp and stuff, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to handle that. But I knew from way before the Women in Motion documentary, which everyone should watch on Paramount Plus, how much of a big deal she was for NASA, and how come, like, listen, would women be in NASA eventually with or without Nichelle? Yes. Did it happen a lot quicker and more prominently because of her? 150%. She is the reason that we have women astronauts in NASA now and back then, and we're eager to sign on black women astronauts. Exactly. She is one of the most important people to our space program ever, and I think it's very important to remember that then, now, and forever. So that's it for me. I miss her. I was talking to you. I'm like, God, is Girafe gonna be mad at me? Like, I haven't messaged her. I was at a friend's house and you texted me, and I was like, yeah, I know. I was at a friend's house. I couldn't talk, and I was actually being a horrible person and texting you in the car as I was driving, because I wanted to give you the opportunity to do this episode. The minute I got home, I didn't have the opportunity to do her. I just started bawling, and Karen and I hugged for a good minute talking about it. She's a beautiful soul, and she will definitely be missed. But what a life. What a life.
Yeah. I learned very late that she was working for NASA, because just, in France, we didn't, that was not in the news, let's be honest. And I didn't speak English. So, but I remember how absolutely thrilled my father was to see Black astronauts. I remember that. And I remember how gutted my parents were after the Challenger's accident. And my father saying
Hailing
there
from
was a black astronaut. There was a black man in that he was going to space. And I remember this vividly because there's been like other, catastrophes that I've seen on TV. But this one I really remember because I remember how important that was to him. And when I learned way later that Nichelle Nichols was instrumental into getting black people in space, I remember being so proud because I mean my father was never really into me watching American shows, so I just wanted like to be see my American show, see these incredible people. this is all getting into see. But yeah, it's very special. And watch Women in Motion.
Yes, please.
Please. I've not been able to rewatch it yet because I think I'm too emotional still, but I'll do a rewatch very soon.
I plan on rewatching it soon. And that black astronaut that you were talking about, that was Ronald McNair. He was actually referenced on Strange New Worlds recently. They mentioned like the McNair Starbase.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah. And he has like an incredible story. I remember, I think his brother wrote a piece about how he could not go to libraries because they were segregated.
Yeah, they like called
when
the
he was a
cops on
kid.
him. Yeah,
and they called the cops on him, and how he still became a teacher. And and he did like all these studies. It was an incredible. I think it was on NPR, if I remember well. I'll try to find it again and post it again on the Discord. We still have some mailbags from our listeners. So we got 3 mailbags.
hailing frequencies open, sir.
Thank you so much. So you can start with Heaven mailbags.
I can do that. Just so you know, I don't know if it got on the outline. There is one from NY Raillight.
I added. I just added it.
Perfect. I didn't get it on my outline, so you're gonna have to read that one. Haven wrote, I never got to meet Nichelle, but I know she was truly amazing. The amount of tributes that people around the world have done have meant so much. She truly was loved by so many. She broke barriers that so many thought at the time were impossible. So the impact that she has on my own life is that if it wasn't for Nichelle, I wouldn't be here as a Star Trek fan and as a member of the Star Trek community, because I believe that we wouldn't be here as a group without her. No matter how big or small of a chain someone is in Trek, they are all moving the world forward. So as someone who loves Star Trek as much as the Strange New Pod and Promenade Merchants podcast, I could truly say from the bottom of my heart that, Nichelle, you are truly missed.
Thank you, Heaven. Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
And I'm gonna read a mailbag from Jola also, who I think is one of our new patrons. Thank you so much. Jola also wrote, I was too young to truly appreciate the context of the society that I was born into in the late 50s. But for certain, we all noticed whenever there was a Black person on TV. Unfortunately, this included such fare as Amos and Andy, Tarzan movies, and other programs which simply reinforced the notion that we did not truly belong here in this country. We did have Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte in movies, but it wasn't until Star Trek aired that we had a chance to see an African-American woman in a position of power and distinction, elegant, worthy, and so very beautiful. I watched Star Trek even though I didn't fully understand what was going on in the plot line. I watched every week looking for Uhura because in her, I saw myself. I knew that I too had a place in our future. We did meet just once, and only briefly, during one of the first Star Trek convention back in 1976.
Awesome.
Incredible. I got her autograph. Sad to say, I lost track of the photo during one of my cross-country moves, but I was truly struck by her grace and sweetness. I will always miss her.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
76, like original. That's awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the same time from these fanzines, by the way. Yeah. This is the first only Star Trek convention, and I encourage you to look on internet for pictures from these conventions because it's absolutely insane.
The 70s fandom was awesome
It was.
because of the fans in the 70s when they weren't making new Star Trek in between the animated series and the movie. Like, because the fandom was so passionate and so driven, that's why it became this big giant phenomenon now. Is we owe it to them, to those people.
We
Yeah.
really do, like, more than people I think realize. Yeah.
And I have to say too that there were so many women involved in the fandom in the
Mhm.
70s.
Mhm.
It's absolutely incredible. I try to, so I limit myself to everything Uhura, because if I don't, I think I would need to like buy literally a wall castle to put everything in.
Right.
But it's very interesting to see the names of people who would write, who would like send letters, who created art, who would pass this thing along, because it was all by mail, right? So they had like this like mailing list to just pass all the stories, all the information, all the latest news to all the fans. And it's just fascinating because we owe them the fact that the Next Generation came on TV end of the 80s without keeping this alive. And we owe them the third season of Star Trek too, because that was one of the first mailing campaign to bring back a show on TV
that worked.
That worked. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have NYRLites if you want me to read it. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. NYRLite wrote, the reason I became a Star Trek fan while growing up in the early 1980s was because of Nichelle and the rest of the TOS crew. They became, I just want to interrupt real quick, and I want to say that NYRLite, this is so true for him, a member of our collective. He is there every single Saturday in the Watch Along channel, making sure everybody knows about TOS at Saturday night. He loves TOS, so I just want to give him a shout out for that as well. They became in some way part of my extended family, so I was really worried the first time I saw, quote unquote, the gamesters of Triskelion. I don't know why I said quote unquote there, about what her trainer was doing to Uhura in that cell. She was always a comforting presence on screen. It's a crime how underused she was in the original series and in the movies. Excuse me. I'm hoping fans who were introduced to Uhura by Zoe Saldana and Sally Rose Gooding will realize we wouldn't have gotten there without Nichelle's great work.
Thank you. And that's the end of our mailbags. And I think that's the end of our special episode too. Fatheree, where can we find you? Any last information, any last words for these special episodes?
Yeah, there is one last thing I'd like to say, and that just is, it is really cool to see how beloved Nichelle was. A lot of these actors, creators, writers, whatever, these big personalities, some of them are, kind of divisive. There is a certain, members of the Trek fandom that, when we lose them, there's probably going to be like all this debate and controversy over, how do we honor the passing of this person or whatever. But not with Nichelle. Like, everyone just loves her. I've never heard a bad word said about her ever. And just the really cool testimony to that, I think, was Sunday when the news broke. I was doing a live stream on the Trek Central YouTube channel with Starfleet Boy, and we were going to talk about other stuff, but it was right after the news broke. I was like, well, we have to talk about this. And there was just so many people who showed up to watch that and just talk about her in the live chat we had. And it was like, wow, like what a huge turnout. Like they didn't show up to, to see me and Starfleet Boy. They were engaged because of Nichelle. And it was kind of humbling to see like so much dedication to an individual like that. But yeah, it's she will be remembered. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much for having me on. This was really cool, really special, and y'all are both great and fun. Just hang out and talk Trek with. So I was very honored to be here. But yeah, people can follow me on Twitter at TX Trek, or check out the Text Trek podcast, and we do live shows on YouTube every Friday night at 7 p.m. Central, and you can listen to that wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you so much. And please, you're welcome anytime in Strange New Pod. I hope to have you again for a review.
Sure. I'd love to come back. And thank both of you. Thank you so much for contributing to my show, to our recent 200th episode celebration. That was,
Oh,
that
it was
was a
so
lot
much
of
fun. It was so much fun. Yeah.
I want to thank everybody that came today, and I'm gonna try to go in order. I want to thank David and Heather from the Promenade Merchant, Heather from Mission Log Live, Emcee Frodis from Emcee Frodis YouTube channel on YouTube. Go check her her videos. I want to thank Adrienne from Where's Bev. I want to thank you, Fatheree, again. I'm going through my list, so I'm going into the pseudo order that I didn't respect at all. Absolutely not. I want to thank you, Myrriah, from our friends over at Discovery Pod. I want to thank from the bottom of my heart the incredible Duras sister, Rhianna and Ashlyn. And I want to thank Marina and all the crew from Le Quadrant Pop. And I want to thank our friends, Starfleet Boy, that you can follow on Twitter too. And he's live every Saturday.
Yeah, I think right now he's doing the Saturdays at 2 p.m. and then he'll be covering Lower Decks when that show comes back on Sundays. And you can find me and him both on Trek Central Weekly on Sundays.
Nice.
And I want to thank our amazing collective for being in the Twitch chat tonight, and for everybody who will listen to that episode later. Thank you, Julian, for doing all the technical support that I am unable to do. And yes.
Do you have more on your list?
Go ahead. No.
Cara from
Cara from the Star Dispatch.
Yes.
Sorry. So sorry. Yes. Yes, Cara. And check out TOS Saturday Night every Saturday if you want to watch more of the original series and the animated series with very, very cool people. Thank you all. I think it's the end of our transmission. Thank you, Nichelle, for being part of our life. We'll see you soon, I hope.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.